Well, the market numbers are in for May of 23 for the real estate markets of Dane, Rock, Columbia, Sauk, and Jefferson counties. And I'm going to compare May of 23 to May of 2022 so you can kind of see what's happening. And I'm surprised at some of the numbers that I'm seeing. You know, some of the listings were actually, or sales were up. There were more listings in certain cases, but keep in mind this is just comparing one month to the next month. So I'm Bret Hauer with eXp Realty, and we're gonna do a deep dive into what the markets look like. So stay tuned, this video gets started now. All right, let's dive in and take a look at Columbia County for May of 2023. There were 58 sales in May, which is up 7.4%. The median sales price was at $295,000, up 0.7%. The average percentage over the asking price was at 1.23% over the asking price, but that's a decrease of 3.15% compared to a year ago, May. And there's 67 active listings. The new listings delivered in May for Columbia County was 97, which was up 31.1%. And the Columbia County has 1.19 months of supply. So this one's interesting as we compare to the other counties. This one was jumped quite a bit for number of sales and number of listings, which is interesting. Everything else is down. But again, this is only 1 month to the next, so you know there could be various factors for that. But interesting numbers to look at. Median sales price in Columbia County has remained pretty consistent to what you see in 22. It is up, not up a ton. It depends on which month you're looking at. If you compare everything, you know, for the full year, you know, it'll probably be a little more modest, but you know, just last month, like we just said, it was just barely up. I think it was 0.7%. But this graph's pretty interesting to look at just to kind of see what the trends look like. Columbia County looks a little weird there towards the end of the year for the last 2 years, kind of all over the place. But again, you know, these are just comparing 1 month to the next, so it's hard to get a really long read of, you know, a full year's worth of data. This last graph, the buyer competition, the percentage you have to go over the asking price to get a house in Columbia County has been under the asking price up until this month. It went over. You can look at the trends from the previous 2 years. They remained pretty consistent, but they were, you know, significantly over the asking price across the board until you got, you know, later in the year. I would suspect, just looking at these numbers and kind of how the graph is going, that this is going to start to fall, you know, through June and July and be, you know, below what it was in 22. But I guess that remains to be seen. Okay, let's take a look at Sauk County for May. In May in Sauk, there were 64 sales, which is down 19%. The median sale price was at $318,000, which is up 6%. The average percentage over the asking price is actually under the asking price by 0.24%. That's a decrease of 3.39% from the previous year. There were currently there are 78 active listings in the market in Sauk. The new listings delivered in May were 83, which is a decrease of 23.1%. The median, well, actually the months of supply, I don't really like to do the median days on the market because they're all under 10. So that doesn't really do much when there's a lower market. But the months of supply in Sauk, this is actually one of the higher ones at 1.33%. So interesting numbers there. So taking a look at the median sales price graph in Sauk from, you know, the last 2 years compared to this year, you can see, you know, pretty steady increases the last 2 years, and this year's remained a little more modest and fallen right in line to, you know, just a little above what 22 was. Interest rates are obviously the factor there, and you know, low inventory does help keep driving the prices, but the interest rates I'm sure have made an impact on that, and that's kind of closed the gap a little bit. I would imagine that's going to start to taper down and follow the lines of 22 a little bit here, but we'll see what happens throughout the rest of the year. And then this final graph for Sauk is the buyer competition, the average percentage over the asking price. We talked about that number, but you can see consistently 23 has been under what 21 and 22 were. 22 was actually quite a bit higher than 21 in this case. Some of them were reversed. Some of these counties are reversed, but it's still, everything is on an average has gone under the asking price in Sauk so far this year. So we'll see how that trend looks for the rest of the year. Okay, taking a look at Jefferson County for May, there were 79 sales, which was up 3.9%. So that's another increase, just like Columbia County. All the other ones so far have been down. Median sales price is up 3.2% at 325,000. The average percent over the asking price in May was 0.95%, which is down 1.62% from the previous year. And there are 84 active listings. The new listings delivered in May for for Jefferson were 94, which is a 29.3% decrease. The median days on the market was 7. I already said before that I don't really talk about that because it's always under 10, but that one was 7. And the months of supply is at 1.09 months of supply. Okay, let's take a look at the price trend graph for Jefferson County. This one's kind of a little all over the place for the last 3 years. Hard to really totally decipher, but it's fallen pretty close to the trends of the previous 2 years. You can look at this graph. It's hard to say, what exactly is going to happen, but looking at the trends for the previous 2 years and looking at all the other counties, kind of what happens with, those trends, that things start to taper downward now. So we'll keep an eye on that and see what happens. And the final numbers for Jefferson County is the buyer competition. The average percentage over the asking price someone would have to go to get a house has remained under the asking price until we got into April. It shot up, then it came back down in May. And looking at the trends from the previous 2 years, it peaked in June and then started to come down for the rest of the year. So we'll watch those numbers and see how that plays out. Okay, looking at Rock County for May, there were 148 sales, which was down 23.3%. The median sales price was at $260,000, up 6.6%. The average percentage over the asking price in May was 2.82%, but that's down 1.62% from the previous year. And there are 177 active listings in Rock County as of now. The new listings delivered for Rock in May, there was 231, which is down 10.5%. The median days on the market was 6, and again, I keep mentioning it, but it's not really a big number because with the low inventory, everything's low, or it's under 10 days generally. And there's 1.04 months of supply. Okay, and then taking a look at Rock County's median sale price trend, comparing to the previous 2 years, the median sales price is up quite a bit so far, the first few months of this year compared to the previous years. And then the gap started to close a little bit in April and May, and we'll keep an eye on that and see what happens the rest of the year. But following the rest of the trends, that should start to taper as well. And finally, for Rock County, the buyer percentage average over the asking price is pretty consistent to the previous 2 years. You look at these graphs, everything's kind of intertwined there. Not a lot of change. 22 had the biggest increase in May of last year, and then this year it's down from that, but it's still over the asking price. And as the trends go, it looks like June peaks out and starts to come down again. So I would imagine that'll follow along those lines as well. Okay, and then last but not least, Dane County. There were 565 sales in May, which is down 25.8%. The median sale price was $420,000, up 6.3%. The average percentage over the asking price was at 3.7%, and that's the highest of all the counties so far, which is not a surprise because Dane County is a extremely solid and active market, and there's a lot of demand there. But that's still down 2.47% from what it was a year ago. So for buyers, that's a good thing. For sellers, it's still a solid market either way. There are 488 active listings currently. There were 699 new listings in May, which was down 25.1%. And there is under a month of supply at 0.88 months of supply. So again, that's what's driving the percentage over the asking price and the high demand. Taking a look at the median sales price trends in Dane County for May, you can see that a pretty steady, consistent gap from 21 to 22, and the gap has closed some for 23. But still, it's still a solid, very solid market for Dane County. And finally, the buyer competition, the average percentage over the asking price in Dane County is staying right in line with 2021. So, that's kind of dipped down below there so that, the rise of the interest rates has kind of stabilized it some, but it clearly is still over the asking price. And if you look at these trends, the last 2 years were almost exact. And I would imagine this is going to follow kind of the same trend here. Thanks for watching my market report video for May of 23. And if you liked what you see, please subscribe to my channel, click the notification tab, and you'll be notified of all new videos that we do. We put out one video every week. We do a market report every month, and we try to give you the best information about the market so you can keep tabs on what's happening out there. So reach out to us with the contact information you see. You can call, text, email. We're always available. Take care.